writers. We have 3 writers. We started with 6, and it's like slowly dwindled down to some folks who cannot make it, but that's okay. We're 3 strong, and so I'll introduce each writer really briefly, and they'll come up and read for 5-6 minutes or so from their work. And then at 6:30, we're going to have a kind of our headline writer coming in, who's coming all the way from New York City, and he has his first novel out, and he's going to have a little chat with me and take some audience Q&A, and so I hope you can stick around for that, and we'll do some book signing afterwards, and that includes our DMACC folks, right? So if you want to like pick up free Expressions magazines and share with your friends, that would be awesome. Right? So I'll just start off talking about a little bit about expressions. All our writers who are reading tonight have like entered our contests in the fall amongst like hundreds of other submissions, and they were selected as the top 10% of the writers who were putting their work towards the contest. And then a little history of expressions. It used to be just like a little snippet in our newspaper from DMACC. And then for a long time, it was like a little literary journal, which basically just had like a little picture on the front and a bunch of text in the middle. And a few years ago, we were able to like hand it off to our graphic design department. So all the artwork within the magazine is produced by our graphic design department at DMACC. So it's all student work, and all of them read the student submissions who win the contest, and then they produce. Several students actually produce versions of every single story and poem that's in there, and we have like a kind of a contest about who gets to be in the magazine in terms of the just the illustrations, right? So each illustration is like beautifully modeled based on what the text is actually saying. So I'll just say that Expressions used to be kind of like, it was what it was. But now it is like this beautiful magazine. In fact, we have busy writers who come in from outside of the state who come in and they're like, "This is your literary magazine? This looks like we run literary magazines out of our college, and this is like nothing compared to what we do." So they do beautiful work, and we're super proud to have our authors as a part of it. Anyway, without further ado, though, I'll first start off by introducing Luca Jensen Kudelka. Is a trans man from Iowa. He explores themes of family and identity throughout his works, and his unique upbringing gives him interesting perspectives on these issues. So let's welcome Luca to the stage.
Hello, I'll be reading my work, Temporary Constellations. It is a hot day in July, the 4th to be exact. Right now, me and my family, my mother and sister, are preparing to head to a nearby park for our annual family reunion on Independence Day, a day in which we are quite dependent on each other. My mother has just finished preparing her vegan casserole. It is, of course, a trend that she will bring this casserole. Aunt Dina will take a piece, and the rest will be left untouched until she brings it home and finishes the leftovers all by herself. No one is a fan of my mother's vegan, non-GMO, homegrown dishes. They pale in comparison, figuratively and literally, to that of the meats and pastas provided by the rest of the family. I know that I will not be partaking in its eating, even if I was in on its cooking. My sister is still inside getting ready, but my mother and me are waiting out by the car. I have decided to wear my traditional sweatpants and hoodie combo that I take it upon myself to wear each and every day, despite the occasion, despite the weather, despite the looks. For lack of a better term, it suits me. I hold with me a clipboard and a mechanical pencil with the intention of writing a scholarship essay during the lulls in conversation today. I'm trying my best to find time to apply to scholarships, but the lack of motivation is a real ass kicker. It is not in any way that I don't want to go to college. I just have problems getting started with things. Finally, after a number of minutes I did not bother to count, out comes my sister. She is 3 years my junior, but twice the person in my mother's eyes. Twice the dress, twice the color. Her purples outweigh my grays. The flowing of her dress down her legs, modest but elegant. I concede. This is my mother's daughter. "Oh, you look beautiful, darling," my mother greets her with a warmth that is lost on me. I stand idly by and watch them as if they are reuniting after a war. They embrace. We join each other in the car, and I take the back seat. As the eldest, I have full claim over the front. My sister understands this. If I asked her, she would relent. but I prefer the privacy of the back. I prefer to be hidden from conversation, unincluded and unbothered. There was a time when we were more sisterly, when we would fight over the front, when she didn't have the maturity of a 16-year-old and I the apathy of a 19-year-old. I remember a time when we were set to go to the pool and she, having just turned 12, decided it was her right to sit in the front passenger seat. Being a moody 15-year-old, I was more than displeased. The details are admittedly fuzzy now, but I know that it ended when one of us bit the other and our mother had to drag us back in by our hair. And our pool trip was canceled. It was all in good fun, of course, being sisters. We were back to doing each other's hair the same night. So, your Uncle Don will be there today, my mother says, as I'm attempting to scribble some words down on the page. Lorelei, aren't you excited? I eye her, eyeing me in the rear view and nod. She rolls her eyes, displeased at my selective muteness, and continues talking to my sister instead. It's so nice to hear that he'll be up and at 'em after all his health concerns. What has it been, 2 years since his last Fourth? Yeah, my sister chimes in. It's been so long since we've seen him. I bet Laura's really excited. I am, admittedly. Uncle Don was the father I never had. When I was little and my dad was not in the picture, not that he's really ever been, Uncle Don was there for me. And my sister, sure, but I was closer to him than she ever was. He even stepped in when my mom gave birth to me, and when my dad was too busy to attend. Mom says he handled all the doctor nonsense while she was recovering. She isn't a big fan of doctors. Today will be a good day because Uncle Don will be there. I've decided on that. However, I am still nervous. There are going to be a lot of questions directed at me this Fourth, as well as him. He will be fawned over, of course, now that he's back in good health, but the subject of me will most likely be skirted around or talked about through a thick layer of passive aggressiveness. I'm 19 now. For all intents and purposes, I should be in college already. I'm not. Not yet, anyways. That's kind of my big life decision right now. It was kind of interrupted when I had to spend the whole of last summer in residential. Of course, the whole family is aware. My mother is anything but a good secret keeper. She tells everyone everything, as long as they aren't me or my sister. Somehow, I was the last to know when my Uncle Don got his diagnosis. But that's besides the point. Having had to spend months in the psych ward really put a damper on the whole college business. Now that I'm finally looking into it for real, now that I'm clipboard in hand writing out ways that I've overcome challenges and specific examples of such, I feel a twinge of hope for my future. Mom says, I just have to remind myself that I can do this and not spiral again. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Luca. That's awesome. We had a few people who wanted to attend, but last minute had to cancel for kind of emergency situations. So I'm going to put them upon myself. They're both poets, and so I might read one of their poems just to honor them before they, so they can have it official here. So this is a poem by Olive Kane called "Poem for a Daughter." Life is like the weather. Both my mom and dad were neutral, not too hot, not too cold, sunny with shade, clouds but not too cloudy. Then came the storm. All was twisted, aligned to such perfection. My mom was day, my dad was night. We fought the storm, branches broken, leaves fallen, wind left and right as the tornado swept through. All the daughter could do was to fight, flight. Heavily medicated, a child numbed at the expense of a mother's reputation. Soon came the rain, oh, so it poured. The hail faded as puberty approached. Man, did it pour. For each tear the daughter shed, another task and thing to check off. Look at the mother, she made it, with broken promises from dad. The mother had really quite got all that. You can do it until you can't. Give yourself a break. Talk, but remain silent. Remain honest, but lie in disguise. With broken patterns, the daughter began to seek comfort and validation within broken men. So growing up, yet so immature, praying one prayer at a time, living one moment at a time, the gas being lit up, the air in her lungs filled with fluid. Maybe she should call it quits, not alone, yet so lonely, until she became alone with no one home. No ends, only one way out. She stayed, not by choice, but what some call destiny, what she calls God. The mother became night, the father became day. Mother eclipsed father. Freely the daughter took. She stays, she remains neutral, she chooses to stay, but night keeps tugging at every step. I am here for a reason. That daughter was and is simply me. All right, that's all it's But up next, we have Alexis Forrest Wilson. She's always loved writing and hopes readers will love her piece, which was inspired by an old friend of hers. Come out, Alexis.
Thank you, Mark. Tough acts to follow, but I'll be reading my letters that have never been written, and just like part of the beginning. Another dark day had swept London, with rain falling, humidity in the air, clouds covering every inch of the sky. Agnes walked the cobblestone streets near campus. Agnes loved the weather London would bring about. It was always perfect riding weather, except today it needed to be nice. Today was her university's freshman celebration. It was one big party for all of the freshmen to celebrate completing their first year of college. The class would gather in the courtyard on campus and could be found dancing, singing, shouting, and obvious drinking. For some, it would be the best night of their lives, while for others, you may see their walk of shame the next morning, which also happened to be move-out day. Agnes always wondered why Warwick would have a party the night before everyone hustled out for summer holiday. She always thought it was a recipe for disaster, ever since she heard about her older brother's experience of spending the night partying and waking up the next day not ready to move out. She was looking forward to the night, though, as it would be spent with her girlfriends. Maybe a little bit of liquid courage could break the shyness Agnes painfully had since primary school. Welcome Future Class of 1986 is the first thing Agnes saw under the orange haze when she walked into the courtyard. It was written on a large brown paper banner hanging from one of the buildings on campus. The rain finally cleared out, thank goodness, so she figured they'd put it shortly up after the building dried. The auburn sun began to set against the now orange and azure sky, lowering behind the rain clouds that just dropped a flood on London. Agnes loved London sunsets ever since she was little. You can barely see the writing, her friend Bridget criticized. I was always something Bridget would do, criticize even the smallest of things. Agnes loved Bridget. She was her best friend, so over time she got used to it. Well, I mean, she had to now since they were roommates. Oh, I know. Who would choose to put a black marker on a brown banner? Agnes replied. Who knows? But what I do know is I need a drink. Stat. Bridget was far more of a partier than Agnes was. Agnes did appreciate her efforts in trying to get her out of the flat, but she only knows hitting the books, not hitting the clubs. Bridget drags Agnes over to one of the long lines of tables where punch bowls awaited for the copious amounts of college students to drink out of, and where at least one boy would likely throw up all over. Bridget grabs a small, clear, faceted glass that was really plastic and pours the blood orange punch into it. It splashes and almost hits Agnes's deep green dress. She thought it would look great on her, but once she put it on, she realized she still looks like she's in year 8. Meanwhile, Bridget wore a classy pink and yellow plaid mini dress that makes her pale skin glow. Agnes's deep olive skin color did look nice against the green, but she thought it was distasteful. The night continues with her friends, and the girls find themselves dancing, drinking, shouting, until Agnes feels a fat knock on the back of her head. Oh. She looks down to see what hit her. It was a football. She looked back up to see that it was kicked by the center and attacking midfielder of Warwick's football team, John Neal, but he prefers to go by Johnny. Sorry, he began to ran over. Oh no, I'm okay, Agnes shouted back, not looking in his direction. Please don't come my way. Her face turned beet red. John was the most popular guy at Warwick. She always thought that the stereotypical cliques and cliches of secondary school would have been left behind, but not when it came to John Neal. Oh my gosh, are you okay? John's London accent was thick. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. John intensely stares at Agnes. Just because you're pretty doesn't mean you have the right to stare, Agnes holds back. John would never go for a girl like Agnes, a star football player who has the looks, the brains, the body, compared to Agnes, who is happy with her brains, obviously, but her looks and body were a different story. She never felt truly pretty, always told that she was, but never had someone who really made her feel that way. Oh boy, your head's going to be sore in the morning. Agnes hated how he looked at her. He looked at her like he was ready to sacrifice it all, which was odd since this was their first face-to-face interaction.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexis. So we have one more writer coming up in just a moment, but we had another poet who was not able to make it tonight. So again, I put it upon myself to honor their piece. This is by Thomas Corrigan, and it's called Rest Now. Rest now, for the drumline has ceased, its rhythm swallowed by dying leaves. Tremors carry your name across the hollow, inhalations burn like unanswered prayers. I wander corridors of sleepless hours, doe eyes, morning dew made fresh. Linger where forgiveness decayed, hands reach but clutch the weight of remorse. Tongue tasting iron where speech should bloom, recollection gnaws along every vein. Hungry for the impossible, your return. Sorrow courses through skeletal walls. Laughter fractures against shattered glass, aftertones unravel across abandoned dusk. I gather shards and name it devotion. Palms carved absence in the cold air. World spins with merciless melody, streets murmur names I cannot unhear. Syllables suffocate inside my throat like prayer. I choke on remnants of forsaken mercy. Tidal of grief drags through every artery. Pulse, once tethered, drifts across empty streets. Rusted light grazes fragments of your warmth. I reach for yearning of lingering essence, gentleness sculpted from ruin, a flame too fragile for barren terrain. I try to trace what your leaving shaped, reflection splinters beneath trembling gaze. Universe still drips with parting. I drink it to remember. Drops form confessions I cannot erase, inhalations weave cord bound by eon. Winds of nightmares claw remaining dreams, dust settles in quiet that refuses solace. Breath exhales itself through an everlasting soul until, dirge-like, it devours, starting to decay. Rage smolders beneath bones like wildfire. Blood pulses for crimes I cannot confess. Every heartbeat screams against absence. Every memory gnashes like iron teeth. One day, I'll find beyond the fall, where no sound wounds, no silence screams. I'll cry. I'll never stop listening. That every heartbeat was an apology. Sounds fun. So before the last writer comes up for today, I just want to let everybody know that Beaverdale Books, as Jan mentioned earlier, has been super supportive of DMACC and our literary community and our students for several years now. And as you can see, they're going through this wonderful renovation. But I'll just give a praise, and this might not be the only time I do it tonight, is that if there's something going on in the literary community in the entire metro, if not state, Beaverdale Books probably has their hands on the pulse. All right, so let's thank them for hosting us tonight, giving us this space, and I hope you can stick around for our next reader, who has also given up his space so that he can have us come in and be his opening act, which is really lovely of him to do. But we might have a couple minutes before we adjourn and our main speaker comes up. So we do have free copies of Expressions that you should grab as many as you want. We purposely overproduce them because they're free. We want as many people to have them as possible, so don't be timid to take more than one copy, if not multiple. We have plenty at our disposal. So I'll end by introducing our last reader. And Grace, I don't have your bio. Grace wrote a wonderful poem. She didn't have a chance to get the bio in here, but why don't you come on up and share your work with us? All right, let's give it up for Grace.
Hello.
Speak right into the mic.
Okay. The drive home, I was alarmed. I hope no one was harmed. Distracted myself from overthinking as I gazed the view.
Focused on the weather, she said the news will be told when we're together. The weight she lifted amounted a feather, and thoughts just grew. Adam was stabbed 18 times. I can picture him all run through. Remember him black and blue. What the fuck? My vision got blurry, my heart filled with worry. I couldn't even express or conceive of words to pass through. Regarding my father, I'm numb, but this is a very different outcome. I'm going to be honest, I felt dumb to hope he pulls through. But if he does not make it, it will adjust my entire worldview. Dreams I see him black and blue. Rancid was his breath. He looked as if he couldn't make it past death. Leaning over him crying, I can see he is cut through and through. Seeing him after all these years, I can only produce tears. One of my worst fears is that he recovers and nothing is new. I was robbed of my adolescence. You will always be you. Will you forever be blue? Hoping for news, I get a call later day that he should be okay. And for the first in a long time, weight is lifted. What a breakthrough. Immediately backtrack. On the drive, we pass the spot of attack. Everything goes pitch black, and I vividly see him sliced through. Deprive me of sensation, I'm still just trying to pursue. Dreams I see him black and blue. He repeats, I'm sorry, Grace, I can't fathom words, just memory retrace. Continuing to make promises he can't keep, I'm getting deja vu. Addiction is a drug, but can a little girl put on earplugs? In a hole that you dug, only you hold the power to undo. Hope isn't lost, but I've accepted disappointment and you following through. Hold me until I am blue. He told them what they wanted to hear. I know the game, let me disappear. And if you want me to be honest and hear my point of view, let Adam follow his heart, only he can decide a fresh start. I continuously yearn for a restart before he was cut into. How can you grieve a person who's still alive? Is it possible to do? Remember him black and blue.
Thank you so much, Grace. So, I feel like a little selfish here, but like ironically enough, all 3 students who showed up tonight were like my students, and maybe a little bit of threatening and bribing for them to come. But I just want to say how proud I am of them. They're like some of the best students I've had in class, and not just because of their like quality of work, right, but also their work ethic and their devotion to the craft of writing and the study of writing. And let's just give them one more round of applause. We're going to take like a couple minutes as we change sets here, but if you would like to come up, and we have 2 different covers of expressions. They're both really interesting, but the contents are the same, so you should get copies of both and grab as many as you want. And we have extras beyond just what's on this table, so come on up and grab your copies if you'd like. All right, as we transition. Thanks, y'all.
Yes.